Have you ever found yourself right at a crossroads, maybe facing immense pressure, really difficult choices, conflicting obligations, just completely unsure of your next move? That feeling where this deep sense of despair kind of creeps in, and it makes you question the whole point of what you're doing.
Absolutely, that paralysis.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a source that grapples with exactly that kind of monumental crisis, the Bhagavad Gita. Often people just call it the Gita.
A foundational text.
Yeah, and it's not just some dusty old text. It's a 700-verse Hindu scripture, a really profound part of the huge Sanskrit epic, the Mahabharata. And it's presented as this incredible dialogue between a warrior prince, Arjuna, and his charioteer, who's also his guide, Krishna. They're literally on a battlefield, Kurukshetra, moments before this massive war is about to kick off.
The tension is palpable right from the start.
Totally. And the Gita, it's one of the most important, most beloved texts in Hinduism, but it's also revered way beyond that across different faiths, different philosophies, mainly for its deep insights into life, duty, spirituality.
Its reach is quite extraordinary.
So our mission here, for you listening, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from the Gita. Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to understanding its core ideas and why it's still so incredibly relevant today, really no matter what your background is. As we get into it, think about those big questions it asks. How do you face overwhelming challenges? What is your duty when it feels, impossible?
And what's really compelling, I think, is how this ancient conversation, right there in the middle of all this impending chaos, manages to unpack these dilemmas that are just so universally human. It really digs into action, purpose, and ultimately self-realization. It sets the stage for this philosophical journey that just transcends time and culture, offering guidance we can genuinely still use.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The story kicks off right there on the battlefield. We've got Arjuna, he's a Pandava prince, a warrior, a Kshatriya, that's the warrior class. His fundamental duty, his Dharma, is to fight for what's right. So you'd think, okay, he's ready to go, right? Charge.
You'd expect that, yeah.
Yeah. But something just stops him cold, right at that critical moment. What is it? What happens?
Well, that's the absolute core of his crisis. As he looks out, surveys the opposing army, the sheer reality of it just hits him like a ton of bricks. He sees his own relatives, cousins, uncles. He sees his revered teachers, people who taught him everything, even close friends over on the other side.
Wow. Yeah.
And seeing them ready to fight him, it just fills him with this profound sorrow and, despair. He starts questioning the whole point of the war. He's convinced that the suffering, the loss of life that's coming, it just isn't worth any victory they might win.
He's completely overwhelmed.
Utterly. So much so that he throws down his bow and arrow and basically says, I can't fight. I won't do it.
And that moment, Arjuna just refusing to fight, it feels like such a turning point. Why is that crisis, his personal breakdown, so central to everything the Gita teaches?
It's precisely because that deep personal crisis becomes the very canvas for all of Krishna's profound teachings. Arjuna's despair isn't just a plot device, it is the universal human experience of being crushed by circumstances, questioning your purpose. His refusal to do his duty, that's the starting gun. It prompts Krishna to unfold this comprehensive guide to living a meaningful or righteous life. And it's applicable to anyone facing their own kind of battlefield moments.
So how does Krishna deal with this completely despondent warrior? What's the first thing he says to him, to this man just paralyzed by indecision?
Krishna's first argument is pretty direct. He tells Arjuna he must fulfill his dharma, his duty as a warrior. He emphasizes that shrinking away from your duty, especially when it's a just cause, is actually seen as a greater wrong, a greater sin.
Okay, so duty first.
But then, almost immediately, he adds this critical nuance. It's not just doing your duty, it's doing it without being attached to the results.
Yeah.
This is the core of what's called karma yoga, the path of action.
Ah, right, detachment.
Exactly. Focus entirely on the action itself. Doing it well, doing it right, not on what you'll get out of it. Not the success, the failure, the praise, the blame.
So it's not about phoning it in or not caring about doing a good job.
Not at all. It's the opposite, really. It's about liberating yourself from the emotional roller coaster that comes with being attached to outcomes. It allows you to act steadily, with inner peace, regardless of what happens externally. It's a way to purify your mind and start to step outside that cycle of actions and consequences, the cycle of karma.
That's a really powerful distinction, shifting focus from the external rewards to your internal state, your intention. But Krishna offers more paths than just action, doesn't he? He also talks about connection, about surrender.
He does, yes. And that idea of internal purity kind of leads naturally into the next path, he explains. Eventually, Krishna reveals his own divine nature, shows himself as the supreme being, and he encourages Arjuna to dedicate all his actions, all his thoughts, to him. This is the path of devotion, or bhakti yoga.
So love and surrender.
Exactly. A path grounded in love, faith, and surrender to a higher power, to God. Krishna promises that anyone who surrenders to him with a pure heart, with devotion, will be freed from that cycle of birth and death, reincarnation. And for many people, this path is often felt to be the most direct, maybe the most accessible, because it emphasizes love and faith over, say, really complex intellectual understanding or strict rituals.
Okay, so we have action without attachment and devotion through love. But what about people who are more, intellectually driven? What does Krishna offer for the path of the mind?
Well, that's the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. This path is all about the rigorous pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, aiming to understand the true nature of reality. Krishna really clarifies this fundamental difference between the eternal soul, the Atman, he calls it, and the temporary material world we experience.
The soul versus the body.
Precisely. He teaches that the soul is immortal. It transcends the physical body. So when the body dies, the soul, the true self, doesn't die. It goes on. And understanding that deep truth, Krishna explains, is what helps you overcome fear, overcome sorrow, because you realize your essential self is beyond the perishable physical form.
That makes sense. And to help understand not just our duty or the soul, but also how we operate, how the world works, Krishna also introduces this really interesting idea of 3 basic qualities or forces within nature itself.
Yes, the gunas. And they are incredibly insightful for just understanding ourselves and the world around us. Think of them as 3 fundamental energies or tendencies. First, there's goodness, or sattva. This is associated with purity, peace, light, knowledge. Think clarity, calmness, balance. Then there's passion, or rajas. This is all about activity, energy, desire, ambition, attachment. It's the driving force, the craving.
Raja is the driver.
And finally, there's ignorance, or tamas. This manifests as inertia, darkness, delusion, heaviness, lethargy. Anything that obscures understanding or leads to inaction or confusion.
Tamas, inertia.
Right. And the Gita explains that everything in the material world, including our own minds, our moods, our actions, is constantly influenced by a mix of these 3 gunas. They're always interacting. The ultimate goal, Krishna teaches, isn't necessarily to eliminate them, you can't in the material world, but to rise above their dominating influence, to achieve a state of balance, of inner peace, of equilibrium, which really means becoming aware of your own tendencies. Are you driven by rajas, pulled down by tamas, seeking sattva, and consciously working towards that greater balance?
Fascinating. It's like an inner operating system. And then at a certain point, maybe to really drive the point home about his own nature, Krishna gives Arjuna this, absolutely mind-blowing vision.
Well, yes. The universal form, the Vishvarupa, is described as this utterly awe-inspiring but also terrifying vision, a cosmic revelation. Krishna essentially shows himself as the entire universe, the creator, the sustainer, the destroyer. Arjuna sees infinite forms, infinite time, all of existence contained within Krishna.
Overwhelming, I imagine.
Completely. It's meant to be this undeniable, shattering demonstration of Krishna's divine nature and cosmic power. It leaves absolutely no doubt in Arjuna's mind about who he's talking to, who's guiding him. It's a moment designed to totally humble Arjuna, but also awaken him to a much bigger reality.
Okay, so if we try to boil it down, bring all these threads together, what's the core message here? What does the Bhagavad Gita ultimately point towards?
I'd say the central message revolves around self-realization, understanding your true nature. It emphasizes the critical importance of fulfilling your own unique duty, your Dharma, but doing it with clarity and detachment. And it lays out these different paths, action, devotion, knowledge, as ways to achieve liberation, to connect with the divine, however you understand that.
And crucially, it's about living in the world, right?
Yeah.
Not running away from it.
Absolutely, that's a key point. The Gita doesn't generally advocate for becoming a hermit and renouncing everything. Instead, it teaches you how to engage with the world, with your responsibilities, but to do it with a sense of purpose, with that inner detachment from the fruits of your actions, and ideally, with devotion. And its impact has just been immense, particularly in Indian philosophy, culture, spirituality. It inspired countless thinkers and leaders. You mentioned Mahatma Gandhi earlier.
Yeah, his spiritual dictionary.
Exactly. He famously called it that, relying heavily on its principles, especially non-attachment, for his philosophy of nonviolent resistance. It fueled his action.
And it's that practical, profound wisdom, I think, that makes the Gita still studied and revered all over the world today. It really feels like a timeless guide. It shows us how we might face our own life challenges, big or small, with more courage, perhaps more wisdom, and importantly, with a clearer conscience. So we've journeyed quite a way here, from Arjuna's really deep crisis of conscience right there on the brink of war, all the way through Krishna's complex, multifaceted teachings on duty, detachment, devotion, knowledge, even the fundamental nature of reality with the gunas.
It really covers a lot of ground, and reflecting on it all, especially that principle of detached action, it kind of leaves us with an important question, doesn't it? In a world like ours, which seems to constantly demand our full attachment to outcomes, to success, to recognition, to every single result, how might applying even a tiny bit, just a sliver of the Gita's idea of detached action, how might that transform your approach to your own duties, your own challenges?
That is a powerful thought to sit with, something to really mull over. We encourage you listening to genuinely consider that question. How might these ancient insights actually apply practically in your own life today?